everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I'm going to be testing out manga drawing supplies from Japan. So I bought these in a store called Animate in Akihabara, and it cost me around 7,000 yen, which is about $70 USD. Before I get into the stuff I bought, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Amino. Amino is an app where you can find different communities for different things that you love. Whatever you're into, Amino's pretty much got you covered. Whether you're into specific anime series, creepypastas and urban legends, different YouTubers, or animators, there is a community for everything. There's even one for this channel. I also highly recommend the Arts and OC's Amino. It's really active and full of artists who are trying to get better together, giving each other's different challenges, and really just encouraging each other in a way that I find is pretty rare on the internet these days. There's also quizzes, which I find extremely fun. I actually got distracted when I was looking for things to show you on Amino and ended up playing this quiz that you basically have to guess which celebrity is based on like really simple fan art. I also just posted a poll about what your favorite type of art video is, and it would really help me out if you voted on that because I am trying to figure out what kind of videos I want to make in the future for this channel. So check out the link in the description, and thank you again to Amino for continually supporting this channel. So first I bought Deleter comic book paper, as well as a Deleter trial pen set. It comes with 3 different types of nibs and a holder, and the different types of nibs are called the Maru, the G, and the Saji. They're good for different reasons, and I'll show you kind of how they work later. I also got a black pot of ink, 3 sets of Copic Chow markers, which were a lot of the expense. I also got this little white brush pen that supposedly will allow you to put the shines in after you do your inking. Last but not least, I got this little mono eraser because I see it all the time in anime. I'm using a little Kiki's Delivery Service mechanical pencil. I don't know if it's originally from Japan, I didn't buy it there, but I'm just going to power through the sketch stage because we are here to test the things I actually bought here in Japan. So I noticed as I drew on the paper that it is super smooth. It also has these little non-photo blue guidelines all around it, which are really convenient. Now that the little sketch of my fake comic book page is done, it's time to get to inking, and I'm using a G pen. I'm going to show you this in real time, just a segment of it before I start to speed up, because I want you guys to see kind of what speed I can go when it comes to inking with wet ink. Also so you can hear the satisfying sound of inking with this type of pen. For some reason, I really love the sound of a G pen scratching across the surface of paper. It sounds really nice to me. So now I'm speeding it up so you can see this actually get finished. It took me a while, and it definitely takes longer than inking digitally, especially because I am left-handed and I have to be very careful not to drag my hand across the wet ink lines. So the way these kinds of pens work is they have a split down the middle of them, and they have little wells on each side. The wells sort of hold the ink a little bit, and the split allows you to get a different weight of your line. Basically, the split in the pen will split apart if you press down hard, and it will allow more ink to sort of flow down the pen in the little gap between the 2 prongs. So it's very nice, and it gives you a variable line weight while not being as out of control as like a brush. So the one thing that I didn't find very easy to do with this type of pen was to draw the panel lines. They're really shaky and bad because you can't really use a ruler with this type of pen. I also got a huge ink blotch on my drawing by accidentally dipping too aggressively into the ink and then going straight back down. It fell off the bottom of the nib, and I freaked out and made it worse by dabbing it with a paper. Then I remembered what you're supposed to do in these situations, which is just continue on and let that little blotch dry completely so that you can deal with it later. So I continued on inking all the different panels and tried to ignore the huge black dot that I accidentally splattered all over. So once I was finished up with the main big outlines that I wanted to be super clear, like the speech bubbles and the characters, I cleaned off the G nib that I was using and I switched to the Saji, which is the smaller nib. It works because it has a smaller groove, and it's also smaller in general, and that allows it to work well for details and anywhere where you don't want crazy line variation. It still allows for a little, but not as much. So here I tried to give it good texture and have some nice little hatching type shading and things in her eyes and whatnot. Then I touched it with my fingers to make sure it wasn't still tacky, and I started to erase all the pencil lines. You want to make sure that your ink is completely dry before you do this, because otherwise when you try to erase, it will smear everywhere and ruin your whole drawing, as I found out in just a second, because the black eye of the secondary character smudged terribly, and I really thought that it was dry, but apparently it wasn't. So you can see this little sad smudge underneath. But we have a way to try to deal with that. That's why I got this little white thing. So I start trying to patch that over, and it does an okay job of covering these little issues, but I'm going to have to go back in with this little Saji nib to try to disguise these problems more. This is something I really like about digital art. Your mistakes can disappear completely, and in traditional, you can cover them a little bit, but there might be some evidence of them no matter what. So now that I've added in the last of the details I want, I go in with Copics, and I love these Copic markers. They are so great, but in this case, they completely ruined my art, and I'm devastated and I never want to use them again. I'm so sad. So a fun fact about alcohol-based markers, which is what Copics are. Some types of ink are broken down by alcohol, and so when you color over certain types of inking, the Copic marker will break down the ink and it will ruin your marker as well as ruining the art that you're trying to color. So I tried to push through and do my best and just try to be more careful with the way that I was applying all of my color, but at the end of the day it just did not work, and the more that I tried to fix it, the worse it got, ending in my despair as I saw her freckles melt all over her face. So because I didn't want the video to end that way, I decided to do an entirely new drawing that I would do the proper way. So now that I know that Copics cannot go over this type of ink, I decided to color first, directly over my cleaned up sketch. I didn't record the sketch drawing because I wanted to just get to the good stuff for this final piece of art. So here I'm just drawing sort of a cute character. I wanted her to have this cool sort of galaxy Illuminati pastel rainbow kind of outfit, because after the devastation of losing that piece of art, I just wanted to draw some like fun comfort food for myself because I was feeling really bummed out. So I colored in with the Copics, and you can see how nicely they lay down, how nicely they blend. So I sort of made up with Copics and love them again. And then I went over it with ink and it worked just perfectly. The Copics dry exceptionally fast because they are alcohol based, and when I went over with the ink, it just sort of crisped everything up and made it look really cute. I really enjoy using these G-nib pens. It's my favorite one to use, and I have gotten an appreciation for the Saji as well. I didn't really use the Maru as much because to me it doesn't really add anything that the Saji or the G can't do. It's sort of like a mix between the two in my experience. The paper was really, really good. I think that Deleter comic paper is great. It's super smooth. It's able to handle a lot of material on it. Like, you can ink quite a bit on it. It doesn't like wrinkle up or have any problems. The thing I was the most disappointed with was this white pen. It's just not opaque and it kind of sucks, to be honest. And with that, she is done. So despite some technical difficulties and some struggles I had with these materials, overall I really enjoyed using them. It's been a long time since I've done a complete colored illustration outside of the computer, and overall I really think that these are good materials. Again, the only thing I really don't recommend is this white brush pen. It's not as opaque as I'd like, and especially because it literally shows itself being drawn opaque white over black ink. I think that that's sort of false advertising and it just doesn't work quite that well. I highly recommend you guys try out using these metal type nibs, and Deleter seems to be a pretty good brand in general. But do remember, if you get the Deleter black ink, that you cannot use Copics over top of them, so be careful and don't ruin your art like I did. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Let me know if there's any other videos that you'd like me to make, and a last thank you to Amino for supporting the channel. Definitely check out the link in the description if you want to try it out yourself. Big thank you to my patrons, including Scott Peterson, Christy Stewart, Payne Hamill, The Artsy Moose, Elizabeth Albin, Cal Popone, Cameo Sparkle, Hanuki, Zixith, Ollie, Neko-sama, Hope Chilsum, Abriana, Trassomaniac, Micah Dactyl Okamore, Matthew Kunke, Blep, Sergeant Pendulum, Lena Christine, Baba Green, Taka, Lovely, Mystic, Enzo Jobert, Your Boy ST, JJJ, Lib Blah Blah Blah, and Addy Visual.